We can now all agree that the moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to high treason. After having read through the amended lawsuit, Ryan absolutely must go home. And I have got some major scoops. I mean, everybody's talking because the sink is shipping and people want to get onto lifeboats.
What I'm thinking is what Brian Friedman is going to say is, so you were upset that you say your wife was harassed. And he's going to say yes. And he's going to say, yet
unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation.
Celebrities avoiding Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds really goes to show that their careers are pretty much done and over.
But funny enough, you can't find the entire video. I only found the clip. So it was very bizarre that clip just was sitting somewhere in the clouds and I couldn't find the full video, but that's what I found.
Says he went in there. Ryan Reynolds starts gushing with praise about Blake Lively's rewrite. He says that meeting happened. And then a few hours later, Taylor Swift waltzes into the room and also gushes with praise over the rewrite.
Did you know one of Hollywood's top directors vowed never to work with Ryan Reynolds again after their first film together? Or that a former co-star called working with him the worst experience of my career? In the next 12 minutes, you'll discover the real stories behind the scenes, the moments that turned 5 celebrities against the man the world sees as a lovable prankster. Stick around because the 4th celebrity on this list might just be the one that shocks you most.
look very familiar, and that Blake Lively would certainly know because she did almost the exact same scene. Yeah.
Wow.
And
it's strikingly similar.
Some of the dance moves, the spitting of her. Now, you could say, look, that's just fan theory, is that Ryan Reynolds saw that scene in It Ends With Us, and it was a trigger, and that he is, because there are some people who feel like he is the one who's driving all of this and telling Blake. I don't think, that seems very unfair to Blake Lively, to me.
That's pretty diabolical.
Who also had an experience, she has said, in her lawsuit that she was sexually harassed.
Right. That theory completely minimizes her feelings here, but...
Right. But some fans who are, of course, going to keep theorizing on this as long as it keeps playing out.
So is the idea that Ryan was jealous and he thought, oh, hey...
Yes. And look, this has been like an ongoing theory that like Ryan Reynolds is the guy that's behind all of this because people feel that Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively were secretly in love while filming this. And if you listen to some of like the voice text that he sent her, it seems like a very, like they had originally like a very intimate conversation and like, you know, just their conversations were just very
him speaking
like
at 2 a.m. Or that's just his voice at 2 a.m.
Yes, but fans are really reading into this and they're like, you know, Ryan is so jealous of this relationship. He's trying to torpedo this. And look, at the end of the day, the scenes do kind of look alike, you know, the interaction, the camera angles, the dancing, but it's just another scene in any other movie that we...
Remember when Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds shared the screen in Green Lantern? Well, there's another A-list actress who now refuses to even be in the same room as him. That's right, Sandra Bullock, once his charming co-star in The Proposal, reportedly wants nothing to do with Hollywood's favorite jokester anymore. Their on-screen chemistry in The Proposal was undeniable. The romantic comedy became a box office success, with fans and critics praising their dynamic performances. Behind the scenes, it appeared they had a solid professional relationship. Studios were already eyeing future projects featuring the duo, hoping to recreate their magic. But things took a turn fast. According to exclusive industry sources, the tension began during the filming of a pivotal emotional scene. Reynolds allegedly went off script, taking creative liberties with ad-libs that blindsided Bullock. The scene was meant to showcase a vulnerable moment for her character, one she had prepared for extensively. Instead, it became a playground for Reynolds' improvisational humor. She was furious, a source close to the production reveals. Ryan kept changing the dialogue, adding jokes that completely undercut the emotional weight of the scene. What may have stayed a behind-the-scenes disagreement quickly escalated during the film's press tour. Reynolds repeatedly took credit for the success of the scene in interviews, bragging about his improvisational skills, without once acknowledging Bullock's performance, which many believe actually grounded the moment. The tension reached a breaking point at the 2013 Met Gala. Witnesses claim Reynolds blatantly ignored Bullock throughout the evening, even though they were often just feet apart. When mutual friends attempted to gather them for a photo, Reynolds reportedly made a quick exit, leaving Bullock visibly embarrassed. Since then, it's been a silent war. Sources confirm that Bullock has turned down at least 3 major projects simply because Reynolds was attached. One of them, a long-rumored sequel to The Proposal, which would have earned her an 8-figure payday, money she walked away from without hesitation. Though Bullock has never publicly criticized Reynolds, her team has made it clear to casting directors and producers, it's Sandra or Ryan. You can't have both.
In there, Ryan Reynolds starts gushing with praise about Blake Lively's rewrite. He says that meeting happened, and then a few hours later, Taylor Swift waltzes into the room and also gushes with praise over the rewrite of the scene. And he says, and his words in the lawsuit are pretty clear, he says, it was clear to me that I was being pressured to go with Blake Lively's rewrite. He then wrote to Blake Lively and said, listen, that meeting was cool. I liked your pages anyway. You didn't really need to. I liked your pages even before Taylor and Ryan came out to sort of sing their.
Sandra Bullock isn't the only A-lister who's drawn a hard line when it comes to working with Ryan Reynolds. Behind the wisecracking charm and fourth-wall-breaking antics of Deadpool lies another Hollywood relationship that crumbled beyond repair. S.O., what made T.J. Miller, who played Wade Wilson's loyal sidekick Weasel, walk away from one of the most successful superhero franchises ever, leaving millions in potential earnings on the table, according to insiders. When Deadpool first went into development, Reynolds wasn't content with just being the face of the franchise. He was actively pulling strings behind the scenes. Our sources confirm that he was deeply involved in every aspect of production, from script rewrites to marketing decisions. Ryan wasn't just playing Deadpool, one crew member explained. He became him, controlling everything. This hyper-involvement quickly put Reynolds on a collision course with Miller, who initially believed landing the role of Weasel would be a turning point in his career. But tensions emerged during filming, as Reynolds' constant improvisation started cutting into Miller's screen time. Every take, Ryan would add more lines, a production insider revealed. TJ would show up ready to perform the script they'd agreed on, only to see his role get overshadowed by Ryan's ever-growing punchlines. However, the real fallout came during the movie's promotional campaign. Reynolds' personal marketing company, Maximum Effort, took the reins of Deadpool's social media and advertising push. Suddenly, Miller found himself barely visible in posters, trailers, and online promotions, despite playing a major supporting role. We've obtained exclusive text messages in which Miller confronted Reynolds directly. It's like I'm not even in this movie anymore. The posters, the trailers, I'm barely there while you're everywhere. Reynolds reportedly responded with vague promises. You'll have a bigger role in the sequel. We're building something special for Weasel. But when the Deadpool 2 script landed, Miller was stunned. His character had been reduced to little more than a glorified cameo. Furious, he stormed into Marvel headquarters unannounced, confronting Reynolds in front of stunned executives. He was waving the script, demanding answers. One witness recalls. It got so heated, they had to physically separate them. The truth came out when Miller later gave a brutally honest interview, saying, I would never work with him again. He became horrifically mean on set. When the mask came on, it was like dealing with 2 different people, and neither of them respected me.
Whoa, nice! Nice!
They followed me.
See, that's funny. That's a reveal because she's like, can we just stop? But then she's in your DMs like, girl, keep it going.
My post and she's like, oh, your coverage on this is amazing. And I messaged her. She's like, you better keep going. And I'm like,
wow, that's an exclusive. That's hilarious.
I know. And the biggest, like my favorite, I don't know if you ever watched Rizzoli and Isles.
Yes.
Dr. Isles has a podcast she's starting, and she messaged me. She wants me to come on.
It's wild. Enjoy. Well deserved. Well deserved. Well, I love it. We'll talk more later. I would love because I figure out where you are, but you're not in LA because we're filming a lot of people in LA, and I'd love to include you in our doc if you're willing, but we'll talk more about that as we go. But while I have you, we do have some Ryan Reynolds updates I wanted to share. And so rather than just play your video, I thought it'd be fun if we could actually get you on here.
My notebook.
Oh, you got, wow. That is the notebook?
No, this is the book of truth. It's everything. It's
amazing. Amazing. You are doing the work. You are helping us get to the truth. So there's been a few Ryan Reynolds updates. First, before we get to even yours, I'm assuming you saw Matthew Lawrence was calling him out as well. Matthew Lawrence has the Brotherly Love podcast with the Lawrence brothers. Good for them. They're relevant again through this podcast.
Somehow.
Whoa, that's what I think of. Blossom, whoa. Here he was talking about Ryan.
It just missed the mark, but it was a really interesting movie. Great script.
Frankenbold or something was the movie?
The funny part about it is that the production team was having a really hard time with Ryan. Now, this is young Ryan.
He wanted to wear his own clothes. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Are you telling me he was sending Texas to the studio?
I've heard that before.
Back in the mid-90s. I wonder where Blake learned it from.
I'll never forget.
Allegedly.
I'll never
all hearsay.
That's what they call that MO.
I was.
Go ahead. Sorry, I meant to pause. What were you saying?
I said that's what they call a method of operation on a criminal shows. That's an MO, if I've ever seen it.
Yes.
I had grown up in the industry, so I'd known my way around a set by that point. I was dialed in, right?
You couldn't keep him away from craft service.
He wasn't dialed in.
I'm just kidding.
Okay? And he'd walk out, didn't really, just wanted to kind of do his thing. And the producers were getting really upset because they said, and they even told him, like, Ryan, this is a bad Jim Carrey impersonation. We don't want just not what we hired you to do. We thought you can't impersonate somebody. You got to do your own thing. And he got upset at that. And he was like, I'm doing my thing. And then I was privy to a meeting between the director and this crew had come from, I think they were just nominated for an Oscar. So they were.
Can I just love that we are in the state of the world where actors who don't get as much work can now make a podcast and dole out these old stories of the people that they always wanted to rag on. You go, Matthew Lawrence.
And it's a moneymaker now.
Kind of a big deal at that moment. Talk about frustrations on set with actors. Right. And I'll never forget being privy to this movie going, I can't believe this guy. We had so much hope for this guy. He's going nowhere.
That's funny. He's like the biggest. Literally the biggest.
You never know in Hollywood, folks.
But here's the difference.
You never know.
So anyway, but he was young. Do you fault him, Elzrich, on this one? Is this your story's worse? That's why I started with the last one. What do you think of this?
I wish he would call me and told me this story personally so I could have released it with my wits because I would have done numbers with the story. I mean, the comparisons I could have found within the story and what Blake is doing is just amazing to me. I wish everybody would come out the woodworks. I still feel like there are people who are scared to speak their truth. And it's amazing to me. Actually,
it's like Armie Hammer when he was so afraid to talk about Blake Lively firing him.
Oh, yeah. And that's not even the worst of Gossip Girl stories that could come out. So she got lucky with that one.
While TJ Miller's career unraveled after Deadpool, someone else in Hollywood was dealing with an even deeper betrayal. Before Ryan Reynolds became a billion-dollar box office juggernaut, he was just another actor desperately searching for a hit. And according to one furious former colleague, he found it by allegedly stealing someone else's creative vision. Back in the days before Deadpool redefined Reynolds' career, things weren't looking good. Green Lantern had flopped, R.I.P.D. was a disaster, and studios were losing faith in him as a leading man. That's when Reynolds, insiders say, stumbled onto a career-saving idea, one that wasn't his to begin with, according to multiple Hollywood sources. It all started at an exclusive industry party in 2010. There, comedian Dane Cook, Reynolds' former co-star from Waiting, was enthusiastically pitching a personal passion project he had been developing for years, a subversive, R-rated superhero story that mocked genre conventions and broke the fourth wall. Sound familiar? Just months later, Reynolds was suddenly developing a project with eerily similar themes. Sources claim he used his remaining industry clout to fast-track Deadpool into production, while Cook's project was left to wither in development hell. When mutual acquaintances noticed the uncanny similarities and brought it up, Reynolds allegedly brushed it off, calling it a coincidence, and even suggesting Cook should feel flattered to have inspired him. Things escalated when Cook attempted to settle the matter privately. Verified emails show that Cook directly asked Reynolds to acknowledge his role in shaping what would become the tone and structure of Deadpool. The response? Reynolds' legal team reportedly fired back with cease and desist letters, threatening litigation if Cook continued to speak out publicly. It's the dirtiest open secret in comedy circles, a veteran stand-up comedian told us. Dane didn't have the resources to go to war with Ryan's rising empire, so he was silenced. The fallout has been lasting. Several comedians close to Cook have allegedly blacklisted Reynolds from their projects in quiet solidarity. In a 2019 podcast appearance, Cook made thinly veiled references to a Canadian actor who had borrowed a superhero concept he'd spent years developing. "I watched someone take my baby, my creative vision, and build their empire on it," Cook said. The hardest part wasn't losing the project. It was sitting through interviews where everyone called him a genius, and I had to just smile through it.
Back to that picture real quick. It's really interesting. A lot of them are just not looking at him at all, even though he's standing and talking. Right. That's really interesting. And nobody's amused, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, they just thought it was puzzling that they would be out considering all the things that have been said in this war between Blake and Justin. So now, that's not to say that they were completely ignored. From what we've heard, there were people who were talking to them. Paul McCartney, strangely enough, was hanging out with them. But there were other people who actually avoided them, is what we heard, that were just didn't want to get into conversation with them.
Well, you can understand it. They're sort of radioactive. In one breath, Blake Lively is saying she was the subject of serious sexual harassment during the filming of It Ends With Us, and now they're making light of it on SNL's 50th reunion show. So tonally, it does seem off, and I can imagine people just wanting to stay away from it. You're going to catch shrapnel if you get involved in this drama at this point.
You know what?
That's probably the point. Like,
can I tell you,
you don't want to catch a stray.
The craziest thing about everything that's unfolding. Okay, I get the Blake Lively thing, and I know that there is a history there that people have been talking about, and the war with Justin Baldoni. But to say the word radioactive in the same sentence as Ryan Reynolds is unbelievable.
It's because we were not there. That's just not where Hollywood was, and
it was the opposite.
Complete opposite.
Most beloved, one of the most beloved actors in this town. And that's why, look, when you see people doing commercials, you know that they've checked out their popularity. I mean,
because normally that's something that actors don't want to do, but you know he knows he can do it because it's not going to affect his Q rating.
Yet now he is in the middle of this whole thing. And really was in the middle of it. It's just nobody knew it until now. But it's breathtaking the way he's been kind of balled up in this whole thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, his lawyer, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, was on Billy Bush's podcast yesterday. And he had some choice words about Ryan Reynolds' choice words.
What did you think when you saw, Ryan, make light of the situation? I guess try to find some humor in all this.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation. I can't think of anyone who's done anything like that. And so it surprised me.
So I got to tell you, all I'm thinking in my head is one word: deposition. Because when Ryan Reynolds sits for a deposition, if it gets that far,
tell us about when you went in for the meeting and going over the script with SNL.
Well, what I'm thinking
and whose decision?
What I'm thinking is what Brian Friedman is going to say is, so you were upset that you say your wife was harassed, and he's going to say yes, and he's going to say yet. You kind of made a joke of it. Well, that's what he'll say.
More than asking Ryan, he's going to put that question to Blake because she's sitting there. She's party to it and reacting to the lines.
You're going to do it with both, but you're going to do it with Ryan.
Right.
You're going to do it
but
with
my
both.
point is, did you say to Blake, you
were sitting there, you
so
co-signed
upset.
on it. You co-signed on it. So it's like these things bite you in the ass sometimes.
Right. It's sort of like when there's a case going on, we always say that you don't hear the people speak out about it at all. This happened with Alec Baldwin during his case, and he sat and did a big interview, and we're like, that was really puzzling. This is why people generally zip up when they're in the middle of something like that.
While Dane Cook was quietly nursing heartbreak, Ryan Reynolds was busy burning a very public bridge with one of late-night television's most powerful figures. It's the curious case of the missing celebrity guest. Have you ever noticed that, despite Ryan Reynolds appearing on nearly every talk show in America, there's one glaring exception? For years, he's been conspicuously absent from Jimmy Kimmel Live, and it's not because of scheduling conflicts. Reynolds was once a frequent and welcome guest on Kimmel's show. His quick wit, polished charm, and perfectly rehearsed, spontaneous stories made him a fan favorite. But everything changed during what was supposed to be a routine promotional appearance in 2018, according to sources close to the production. Just minutes before taping, Kimmel discovered that Reynolds' marketing company, Maximum Effort, had orchestrated an elaborate viral stunt without notifying the show's producers or getting approval. The plan included planted actors in the audience, pre-recorded video inserts, and even surprise special effects that would have hijacked the interview entirely. I was right there in the green room when it went down, a production assistant recalled under condition of anonymity. It was the most intense confrontation I've ever seen backstage. Jimmy was furious. He told Ryan, "This is my show, not your personal ad campaign." Reynolds, reportedly unfazed, responded with smug confidence. "Trust me," he allegedly said, "this has way more viral potential than whatever boring questions you had planned." Ouch. The segment ultimately went ahead without the stunt, but viewers immediately sensed something was off. Despite the network's best editing efforts, the tension between host and guest was palpable. Crew members described the vibe as painfully awkward, with one camera operator saying, "You could practically see Jimmy counting the seconds to the next commercial break." But Reynolds didn't let the matter die quietly. Days later, he took to Twitter with thinly veiled shots at the incident, posting about old media dinosaurs who didn't understand how modern promotion works, and hinting that some talk show hosts cared more about control than audience experience. The final nail in the coffin came 3 months later. Reynolds was scheduled to return to Kimmel, but just 2 hours before taping, his team called to cancel, citing a scheduling conflict. That very night, Reynolds appeared on a competing late-night show, performing the exact same stunt Kimmel had rejected, to roaring applause, according to a senior producer at Jimmy Kimmel Live. The fallout was permanent. Ryan Reynolds will never be invited back. Jimmy felt disrespected, not just as a host, but as a fellow comedian. In this business, there are certain lines you don't cross.
Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds really goes to show that their careers are pretty much done and over. Blake Lively more than Ryan Reynolds. Radioactive is the same word that describes them. If you look at Robert De Niro's face as well as Kevin Costner, it's extremely telling. They're done. And it's no wonder everyone avoided them like the plague. And others were just trying to keep it polite and cute.
So, what do all these feuds really reveal about one of Hollywood's most beloved stars? Behind Ryan Reynolds' charm and razor-sharp wit, the very traits that made him a box office juggernaut, lies a more complicated reality. His rise from struggling actor with a string of flops to the head of a sprawling entertainment empire hasn't come without casualties. While fans see the polished talk show appearances and perfectly timed social media posts, these 5 celebrities have encountered a very different side of Reynolds. A clear pattern emerges: battles over creative control, hijacked marketing efforts, and a relentless ambition that's left behind real resentment. But here's the bigger question. Does any of it actually matter? With a billion-dollar Deadpool franchise, a successful telecom company, and major production deals, Reynolds may have reached the rare level of stardom where burned bridges no longer burn him. In an industry built on relationships, he's managed to thrive, even as he's made powerful enemies. Will these fractured connections eventually catch up to him? Or has Ryan Reynolds already outplayed the Hollywood game? Only time will tell if the industry's favorite prankster will ever pay the price for the chaos left in his wake.